Good morning. Today is Wednesday, August 31st, 2022. I heard this story from Rabbi Melech Biederman. Years ago, there was a young man whose parents had both passed away. And he was an orphan, and he felt broken and disheartened and kind of lost in life. So he went to visit Rabbi Menachem Shach. Rabbi Shach, at that time, in the previous generation, was one of the greatest scholars and Torah leaders in Israel. He lived in Bnei Brak, and many people went to him for advice. And this young man, going through a very difficult time in his life, went to speak to Rav Shach. Rav Shach said to him, I also was an orphan at an early age. And this happened in Vilna. That's where Rabbi Shach was from. And he said, when it came time for me to find a shidduch, a mate, to find a wife, the custom then in that place was that an outstanding Torah scholar was a desirable catch, and Rav Shach certainly was such an outstanding Torah scholar. And Rav Shach could have expected to meet a young woman and to make a shidduch from a family that would provide an apartment for the new couple to live on and to be set up well. And that is what would be expected in that place under these circumstances. But since Rav Shach was an orphan, he had no parents to negotiate such matters on his behalf, because that's how it was arranged in those days in that place. The negotiation was between both sets of parents, and Rav Shach was an orphan. So he ended up becoming engaged to a wonderful young woman, but her family did not provide anything in terms of financial support, which was totally out of the norm for that place and for such a match with such an important Torah scholar. When his friends heard about this, they were aghast. Such an outstanding young man. How are you going to be able to support yourself if you have no support whatsoever from the other family? And the friends were so upset, they tried to convince him to call off the engagement. Rav Shach refused to do that. He told them, God is in charge. And if God's in charge, it will work out fine. The couple got married. They lived in Vilna. They did not own an apartment, and so they rented a tiny apartment that they could barely afford. And then the Nazis came to power in 1939. And there were all sorts of rumors in Vilna what was going to happen. Would the Nazis come to Vilna? Would they not come to Vilna? And if they did come to Vilna, what would happen to us? And everyone was buzzing about this. What should we do? Now, all of those who did not own their own homes or apartments, they were quick to make arrangements to escape, because they had little to lose leaving Vilna. There was nothing that tied them there. They didn't own anything there. Those who owned homes in Vilna, all their money was tied up in their home. And they were not so quick to run away, because they knew if they ran away, they would lose it all. The Nazis attacked suddenly and killed them all. Rabbi Shach said to this young man, What actually happened is that all those who owned homes in Vilna perished, and those who did not own homes were saved, including Rav Shach, who moved with his wife to Israel just in time. And he said to this young man, "Why was I saved? Because I did not own a home." And Rav Shach continued, "If you would ask someone, is owning a home a good thing? Of course, yes. Is not owning a home not good? Of course, it's not good not to own a home." And Rav Shach said to this young man, if you would ask me that question, I would give you the same answer. It's good to own a home, and it's not good to not own a home. But ultimately what happened? Not owning a home was a good thing. Not owning a home, said Rav Shach, saved my life. We don't understand God's plan. Even in retrospect, we often don't see it. But nonetheless, it is what is best for us. When something happens to a person, God forbid, that is challenging, that is difficult, that is bitter, it is not the time to tell them this story. And rabbis tell us that is insensitive. But we need to hear this story and to absorb it when things are calm in our lives, so that when something does happen, we are able to access this thought exercise in an essential way, where it has become a part of us through thinking about it and assimilating it over and over while things were calm, so that this truth is then accessible to us to give us a wider context to face what we face. My friends, I want to wish you a great day, and I look forward to seeing you soon in person.